Yo guys, sorry you already know that today I am here ready to recap week 7 of my 2025 backlog journey. There is a link in the description for if you need the full rundown of what this list is and why all the games are on it. But where we left off last week, I was still playing Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Fire Emblem Fates Birthright, and I said that I was going to put a considerable amount of effort into Hot Wheels and Fire Emblem Fates, and I have done that. So just for context, I'm actually recording this a day earlier, so this is being recorded on Thursday, 2 days before this video is going up, because tomorrow for me / yesterday for you is Valentine's Day, and I feel like I should dedicate that day to being with my boyfriend instead of sitting here recording YouTube videos. So I'm doing it a day early, just so I have the entire day open for whatever happens. And yeah, as a result, I did actually power through and finish Hot Wheels 2 last night. So that is now completed. I can put that to complete. We can take off these 15 hours, and that is going to put us, I believe, at that should be 12:56. Which I have to say, I'll get to the rest of it, but I look at these hours and I look at like how many games are still left, and this week it's really started to hit me just like how overwhelming this is. This has been compounded with the fact that there was a PlayStation like State of Play that was announcing more games, and there's so many new games that look interesting, and games are about to start coming out that I'm going to have to balance on top of this, and I feel like I'm definitely overwhelming myself with how much I have like put on my plate. I have half a mind to just like start literally all of these games just so like I feel like I'm making more progress, but that I don't think is actually going to work, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to keep sticking with the process, and I think things will be all right. But yeah, so yeah, I've been a little bit of just overwhelmed with just like how much there is and how many like hours of gaming there is left to do. I really powered through Hot Wheels 2. I beat the final boss of the story mode. It's called the Creature Campaign. There are extra races to do, but I have no interest in really doing that. I will touch more on my feelings in the game in the next section. I always split this up as recapping the previous week and then talking about each game that I played, any updated thoughts, things like that, and then I'll preview the next week to come. So usually I set that up beforehand, but this is week 7. Hopefully y'all are just on the ball at this point. So yeah, also, so Ghost of Tsushima I put very little time into, but I have played some just to make sure that I haven't like let it completely go by. I powered through Hot Wheels 2 and Fates Birthright. I am pretty close. I believe I'm on chapter 23, and I know there are 27 chapters in the game, so I am very close there. I am definitely going to power through doing that. If this video were to be recorded on its normal time of like Friday night, I would be even closer, because I feel like there's no way I don't get through like at least 2, maybe even 3 chapters tonight. So I definitely expect to be done with that within a few days, or by next week for sure. But yeah, so I have put considerable amount of time into Birthright as well, so that is really cool. Nothing else significant of note happened to this past week. In terms of like mentally, I feel like while it can feel a little overwhelming, just like how many games I put on my plate, I also have felt more of a drive to play more games. I've definitely seen myself doing like longer play sessions, even if I'm like swapping between games and whatnot. I also I haven't really been super open about this, but some of my gaming time has been sidetracked because I've been watching like a lot of YouTube, and when I watch a lot of YouTube, I also like play like more like comfort games, which at the start of the year was like Madden, and then I started getting like re-obsessed with like the college football game from last year, and like that's all well and good, but like I am putting too much time into those and not making progress in these games that I literally made a list for. So that is something that I've sort of been starting to deal with. I have a lot less YouTube to watch, so as long as I don't go out and actively search for like a lot more to watch, I feel like I can keep myself from falling too far down that rabbit hole. But yeah, so that is the update of the previous week. I did finish a game, so that is good. We get more green on this list. This was one that if I wasn't doing this series, I may have dropped it partway through, just because it's a lot of the same old. Again, I will touch more on it. But because of this, I was like, I'm powering through, I'm beating this, and I am absolutely beating this. That actually makes me want to go back and actually finish Psychonauts for the same thing, because there's something so satisfying about at least getting to the final boss and being like, I beat this. So yeah, I feel good about that. And yeah, that's all I have. So let's go ahead on to the next section. I will briefly talk about the games that I played over the past week, any additional thoughts that I have on them. And I'll just start with Ghost of Tsushima because not much has changed. I put in, I believe, literally one play session that was about 1 to 2 hours long, where I, there was some people to talk to, some horses to ride, a little bit of combat, but nothing like, no major events. There are a lot of quests available. I think I did some of the side stuff. I don't know if I'm going for the full 100%, but I am still doing just like as many things as possible. I believe I'm at around 14 to 15 hours of playtime total, and that is going to jump quite significantly over the next couple weeks, I feel. But yeah, so no major updates there. I will talk about, let's go ahead and just talk about Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels 2, if you ask my opinion on this game after about 2 hours of playing, it would be a lot higher than what it is now. And I think this is a game that I actually really enjoy, but the manner in which I played it and just the amount that I played it, it just felt like, I don't know, it started to become a little bit of a drag. And it's weird because any like criticism that I can think of, like where I wasn't enjoying it, I feel like the game sort of has an answer for that. So I think there's just like a disconnect as to like what I was clicking with. For example, the story mode has a variety of races. It has, normal races. It has elimination races. It has these checkpoint things where you go from a checkpoint to checkpoint that is laid out in a completely different set of it's not just on a racetrack per se. There are sort of like a time trial race where you have to, finish a track or a lap in a certain amount of time. They have these drifting challenges. They have the boss battles. I feel like there's a variety of races and race types that, you would reasonably expect in something like this. There's also sometimes where they will limit the type of vehicle that you can use, whether it's each like car has like its own little type. Some of them are like balanced or drifter or rocket or whatever. And then you also have these like upgrade tiers. You can like customize it to upgrade it to give it more abilities. And it goes from like stock to power to ultimate or something like that. And so there's certain ones where like you can only use ultimate, meaning that the game is sort of forcing you to interact with the systems that it's presenting to you, because you'll play through, you'll level up, they'll give you coins, and it's the game's way of encouraging you to interact with its in-game like currency and store and collect cars and all that. So like everything game design wise just feels right. Like all the decisions feel like the right decisions to make in terms of variety and getting you to interact with the systems that it's presenting in front of you, and none of them are bad. If there's literally one criticism I can even think to potentially make is I think some of the tracks are just too long, maybe. There are some of these timing stuff is like really tight, or the drifting challenges, I was struggling with those a lot. And it can feel really bad if you get to the end of a 2, 3, 4 minute like session of something just to fail and have to like do it again. So like on a time trial run, if it gives you like a lap to finish and that lap takes 2 minutes, but you were 5 seconds over, well then it resets and you just have to go again, which is another 2 minutes. And and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it can really add up. One trick, however, if somebody out there is like, oh, I also want to play through the Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 turbocharged campaign mode and would like tips to make it easier, I learned that if you change the difficulty from medium to easy, it says that it affects only the AI bot difficulty, but it also makes the times that you need to hit like way easier. So I did take advantage of that sometimes, because there were certain tracks where I was just like, well, the drifting challenge is one. The goals to hit, I just like was not hitting them, but if I change it to easy, I can hit them like real easy. So it changes what your goal number is. So that was a trick that I did use. But any race that involved like other cars, I made sure to put it back up to medium. And yeah, so that was that. Like, I don't have a lot of like legitimate criticisms for the game, but it definitely felt like it's like, it feels like it would be more fun as like a casual experience. There's also like a track builder, you can make your own tracks and stuff. I didn't engage with that at all. I didn't play like any sort of online multiplayer. Like, I feel like there's more parts of the game than just the single player, but like single player games is like what I do, and that's like what I want to experience. So we'll see how time sort of treats my opinion of this game. I am really just coming from like, I've spent like 2 days in a row playing like 3+ hours like straight. Like I don't even know what my final playtime was, but it just feels like it was way too long. And it was just like never ending, like challenge after race after other challenge. And I don't know. I think maybe given some time, I will soften my opinion a little bit, because it's not bad, and I can't reiterate that enough. And I'm really glad I played it. But it's one of those where like if I wasn't doing this format, I might have just stopped playing after like 4 or 5 hours, and I might have had a more positive opinion of the game. So it's one of those weird things that like, because I'm doing it in this format where I just really want to try and complete everything, you know, that's just it leads me to like where I am now. But that is all I have there. I don't think there's much more I can say without reiterating the exact same points. So the last game that I'm going to give some updates on is Fire Emblem Fates Birthright, which is a very interesting thing because I've also made a decent amount of progress. I don't remember what chapter I was on at this time last week, but I feel like it was mid-teens, like 16, 17 or something like that, and I'm on chapter like 23 now, which is nice. I know that there are 27 chapters in the game, and that leads me to one main point that I'm going to make is I know, based on my existence in the internet, I am somewhat, you know, connected to, meaning like I follow some people and parts of the internet that are like the Fire Emblem community, so like I know things here and there. And Fire Emblem Fates has like child units, kid units. They're like, you know, if you get S supports with you know, specific people or whatever, you'll get like these child units that are their child from the future that like comes to join you in battle or whatever. This is something that Fire Emblem Awakening had. The problem is that I'm on chapter 23 and I have yet to like meet one. I've yet to find one. If I did not know from outside sources like on the internet, I would not know that child units are a thing in this game, which is weird and strange to me because in Awakening I had no problem. Like I definitely stumbled across quite a few without even trying. But in Fates, it's like I'm not trying per se, but I'm also not getting them. Like I've been using the same set of units for like basically the whole game. Like the last like 10 to 15 chapters, I've had the exact same units. So, and I kind of play where they all are near each other. Maybe I'm not keeping like specific units towards the specific like right ones, but like it's weird to me that there's a chance that I could get a child unit and like, is it going to be as strong as my current units? Because if it needs build up in any way, like I'm already towards the end of the game. Like that, I don't know. I have this sense that I'm like playing the game wrong, and I don't know if that's like a sense that I should feel. So yeah, there's that. Some other things that I've also found a little bit interesting about this game is I think I've come on the side of like I don't really like the weapon like forging system. You need to have like multiples of certain weapons to then like increase them or whatever, and the materials to get them are like kind of hard to find, and there's like only specific ways to do it, and like I feel like I might be missing out on like ways to get even more materials or something. But also like I don't know, the improvements are fine, but they're not like game breaking. I don't know. It's weird because the more that I play Fates, the more I just kind of compare just like my experience with Fire Emblem Engage, because there are similar things that Engage definitely took from like Fates, and every time I think about it, I'm just like Engage just did this like better. Like the weapon like forging is just better there. I like the material, like the materials are more plentiful, things like that, and so yeah, I don't know. There's also like, I think the pair up mechanic I've, you know, sort of learned a little bit more about, where if you pair up units together, it helps more defensively. But if you just keep them separated but next to each other, it's better like offensively, essentially. But that being said, the only like direct defensive buffs that you can give a unit, there's like 2 units max, I think, that actually give plus defense if you pair them up with another unit. But those are also 2 units that have like a really high defense stat, so they're like, if I want to draw an enemy in, I generally want 1 or 2 of them like there to draw an enemy in, and I like adding that +5 defense. Like it doesn't make sense to give it to another unit. I feel like I'm just doing something wrong, because there was definitely one time in the most recent chapter I played where I put like a unit right at the edge of like the enemy thing. I gave it as many defensive buffs as possible, and then the enemy comes to attack me, and thankfully I got lucky that I didn't die, but it was like an 11% chance to crit, and if that crit me, I would have died. And I'm like, I literally have my best defensive unit with like a defensive pair up thing with like a I don't know, I don't understand. So again, like I don't know if I just picked bad units. I don't know if I need to be more aggressive maybe, and yeah, I don't know. I keep getting a sense that like I'm playing the game wrong. That being said, despite the fact that something like Hot Wheels was like a slog when I was just playing through it like nonstop, Birthright has not felt like that. Every time I turn on the game and play it, I am having fun. I am enjoying it. I just like Fire Emblem, but I like the strategy that goes into it, the planning. It's been a lot more simple now that I have my team. I haven't really been getting new units, and any new units I've been getting, I haven't really been adding to the team. Because I already have mine sort of laid out. I've already put investment into my units, and I just want to keep them. So, yeah, I mean, it's been fun, but I'm interested to see, like, I don't know, I want to see more of, like, other people's perspectives on Birthright, because I feel like I'm missing something, and I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm scared to go looking, because then I feel like I'm going to learn way too much about Conquest, and because if you just like look up stuff for Fates, and like even if you search up Fates Birthright, I still get like a bunch of stuff saying about Fates Conquest, and I do not want to look too much into it before I get like the whole game. I mean, I don't really care about story spoilers, but I don't know. I want to go in with more of like a fresh mindset whenever I do get to Conquest. So I'm interested to see if that game has some of the same issues or not. I really don't know. But that's something for down the line. I'm definitely going to give myself a little bit of a break. But yeah, eventually, way farther in the future, I would like to do a video or a list where I rank every Fire Emblem game. I have to play every Fire Emblem game before I can make that list. So we are still ways away from that happening. And I feel like Birthright, as of right now, is going to sit pretty low on that list. But like as a video game, I think it's going to sit pretty high on like. Eventually, so at the end of the year, I would like to rank like all of these backlog games, assuming I can get through all of them. And if I can, I like to rate them. And I feel like this one's going to be higher than, you would expect. So like, it's just one of those that's like, it's not a great Fire Emblem game, but it is a really good video game. So like, I don't know. I'm going to have to keep wrestling with that in my mind. I still have a few chapters to see what happens. I don't really expect much to change. Like I already have kind of like my units. They have their roles. I don't know if I'm getting any more special weapons or units, or I don't know. So we'll see. But I do keep getting the sense that I'm like playing the game wrong, and I don't know if I should be feeling that way or not. So that is sort of my Fire Emblem Fates Birthright spiel. But okay, that is all of the recaps that I have for the games that I played this past week. So let's go ahead and preview this upcoming week. So like I mentioned, as you see this video, yesterday was Valentine's Day, which is definitely some time being taken away from my video game playtime, which is perfectly fine. I don't have any major plans in terms of the weekend or the week. It's just going to be a normal work week. The one thing that is going to happen, and I'm glad I actually looked this up before starting this video, on Valentine's Day, 2 games were going to come out. One has been delayed, so I will keep that a little bit of a secret until later in the year. But one that I'm actually going to add to the list already is a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and that is After Love EP. This is a game that was announced at an indie direct, like a Nintendo indie games thing, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe it was only 4 years ago, but it seems like it's been a long time. Then during the game's development, the creator or director, whoever was like somebody who like very heavily influenced in the creation of the game, passed away. So the game development team obviously took some time off to deal with if they were going to finish the game, whatever. I didn't like fully keep up. I just checked in every now and then, and then all of a sudden, maybe like a month or two ago, it just has like a release date trailer and just like, oh yeah, by the way, coming out February 14th. So this is a game that I have actually brought up a couple times. I used to do some videos where I'm just like, these are the games I'm looking forward to coming out next year. And I think there was one where I like even made like a top 10, like this is going to be my top 10 games of 2023 or something like that. And like this game was on it because it looks like a sort of visual novel rhythm game that follows the story of a guy trying to like move on with his life after the death of his girlfriend, and using music as a way to like channel that. It has a lot of the same, I think it's going to follow a lot of the same emotional story beats as the anime Given, which is one of my favorite anime of all time. So I am interested to play through it. The art style also looks really cool, and I'm interested to see how they did. So that is something that I am going to be playing. So that is a game that is being added to, you know, in progress. I'm currently playing it. I don't know how long of the game's going to be. It is an indie game, and like visual novel, like rhythm. I feel like it's not going to be that long, and I'm going to definitely be putting some time into it. So that is exciting. So this next week is going to be a lot of me trying to beat Birthright. Is going to be me putting time into Afterlove EP and maybe even beating that if that is a short enough game, and definitely putting some time into Ghost of Tsushima. I am thinking that I will probably start another game. I don't always need to have 3 games in rotation, but it does seem like a pretty good balance of like having so this is going to be and this is actually just the way I do it. This is going to be on Steam. That's where I'm playing that. So I'm going to have 1 game on Steam that I'm playing, 1 game on PlayStation, where I go out in the living room and play that. Steam is, you know, at my computer. And then I have Birthright on the 3DS, but once that's done, if I want a 3rd game and I want a different place to sit, I feel like I could pick up one of these Xbox games. And I think I'm in the mindset where I definitely need to knock out one of these shorter games again. And there's a couple of options here, whether it's Cocoon, or Dante's Inferno, or Lowell Gator Game, or Ori and the Blind Forest. I think that is the longest game that I would consider out of these. But I definitely think one of those is going to get played, at least started. We'll see if I don't want to go too far over my head and be like, I'm going to beat Afterlove, I'm going to beat Birthright, I'm going to beat 2 of these games, and I'm going to put like 20 more hours into Ghost of Tsushima. That's not realistic, but it could happen. I don't know. So yeah, the preview of the next week, we are starting to have games coming out. As new games come out that I'm interested in, I will, you know, continue to add them here week by week. But I will sort of keep them a mystery until I actually start playing them, because there are games that have release dates where, or games that have already come out, like Tales of Iron 2 and Civ 7. Both of those are games that I am interested in playing, but I'm not playing now. So I only am going to put them in this new games category once I actually start playing them. So that is how that is going to work, and there are a lot of new games that I'm interested in coming out, so that is going to be, you know, interesting, but hopefully I can manage to balance it with this backlog, and we'll see if there's any trouble as I do that, and that is what this journey is all about. So that is going to wrap everything up. I hope this has been insightful, and I hope you have enjoyed. Of course, as always, if there's any questions or any, you know, of your 2 cents that you would like to leave, feel free to do so in the comments, and I will see you all next week, as that will be week 8 of the 2025 video game backlog journey. So, hope to see you there. I will see you next week. Goodbye.